Welcome back to the Balancing Act podcast. I'm Andy Temte. On the Balancing Act, we talk to business leaders and industry experts to explore the balancing acts we play in our professional lives and learn about the events that put rocket boosters behind their career success. Today is a very special day for the show. We have Greg Marino joining us, and the crowd goes wild. Greg is the Chief Executive Officer of Kaplan North America, and welcome to the show, Greg.
It's great to be here, Andy. Absolute pleasure. I mean, I've been following your journey. Your book, Balancing Act, has certainly been a conversation piece in many circles that I've been in. This podcast, I've caught many of them, and it's a fantastic extension of your ideas and leadership advice, and honestly, the way you're contributing to the discussions around global skills and work readiness is truly commendable. And, you know, I've said we were talking a little bit off camera, you know, as I often said, when you were at Kaplan, you truly are a rock star in every positive way. And you're still referenced to this day at Kaplan, among your Kaplan family. So it's great to be back with you.
Yeah, I love interviewing my former Kaplan colleagues. It is such a wonderful place. All of the stories that have been grown through Kaplan, folks that are off doing other things now, and the development that's occurred. So something that all of us who've been part of that story, and you, strong continuing part of that story, it's something that we can all be very, very proud of. Greg, I asked this of all of my guests. Before we get started, please tell our listeners your story.
My story? Well, sure. Personally, I'm the husband of Jessica Marino and the proud father of two lovely teenage daughters, Ari and Lexi, both in high school now. In fact, my little one just started high school. We're a family of music lovers and concert goers. I know your family as well loves music. And a wide-ranging playlist, too. Certainly the remainders are on it. But, huge Billy Joel fans, and I've come to love many of the artists that my kids like listening to as well. Professionally, I serve as the CEO of Kaplan North America. If you were to read my resume or CV, really two organizations are listed. The New York Newsday, where I started as a newspaper boy, and then Kaplan, where I started as an intern. In fact, just this summer, I've celebrated my 30th anniversary with Kaplan.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Staying with one organization for so many years is unusual these days, and for me, it's been an incredible organization. I've been fortunate to be surrounded by, some of the best, not only in the education field, but I would argue some of the smartest business people in corporate America. I've learned so much from the amazing people around me, and Andy, I certainly put you high on that list. I've had the pleasure of working with for so many years.
Yeah, Greg, I spent 22 years at Kaplan, and I feel like I had three or four different careers within that same organization. I'm sure you feel very similarly. But I'm curious, what's that one event in your life that just put those rocket boosters behind that 30-year career at Kaplan?
Yeah, I'm going to rewind all the way back. I said that I had two jobs. I have two jobs listed, or two organizations listed on my resume, but well before the age of smartphones and door-to-door Amazon deliveries. I was a self-labeled entrepreneur in Long Island, New York, trying to make my mark. One newspaper at the time. And if you think waking up at 9 o'clock in the morning for a Zoom call is hard, try waking up at the crack of dawn to dodge sprinklers, navigate the intricacies of the suburban sidewalks, and ensure that Mr. Smith has his newspaper in time before the first sip of coffee. I mean, that was my entry into the professional landscape at all in the age of 13, very similar to people like Tom Cruise, Warren Buffett, Kathy Ireland, Martin Luther King. They were all newspaper carriers, but it was my first venture as an entrepreneur and certainly helped me very early on prepare for my key career. It teaches you discipline and time management to wake up early, plan the round short papers, get to the destination on time. But I would say, the customer service and the interpersonal side is certainly part of it. I was in the service industry. I worked on tips, and the better the service, the better the monetary reward, and the better I knew my customers and what their preferences were, the better service I was able to deliver. And in some cases, and this is probably where the entrepreneur side came in, the products or offerings that I'd be able to also extend, even though I was only a newspaper courier. Getting up early in the morning, I tried to figure out how best to make best use of that time, and that extended to doing very similar, what you see today with Amazon. I used to deliver also bagels with the newspaper, and it really helped me think about how best to continue to stay relevant and make it take advantage of my customers' needs.
Greg, I've heard many stories through the years of your early career, but this bagels plus newspapers, that's a new one. So thank you for sharing it. What a wonderful customer service story that is. Fantastic.
Well, yeah. Bagels on wheels. It was a lot of fun to do, actually.
Yeah, I bet. So. Greg, I love interviewing chief executives, the office of the CEO. Everybody wants a look in to the office of the CEO. We talk about the balancing acts that leaders play on this show. From your vantage point, what's the most important balancing act that a CEO in general plays?
Yeah, it's... the crucial balance, I'd say, between harmonizing the short-term demands of the organization with the long-term vision. The immediate operational challenges or rapidly changing market conditions. CEOs need to ensure that the organizations are delivering on those customer expectations, delivering on the financial targets, ensuring that the outcomes, the reason why your customer hired you, are delivered on, and of course, motivating employee talent. But I'd say at the same time, devoting attention to transformational innovation is equally critical. If you think about the evolving business landscape, companies have to adapt and innovate to stay competitive, and in our case, to continue to lead our industry. So transformational innovation often involves groundbreaking ideas that can reshape industries, open up new markets. And if you neglect the innovation, you become less relevant. It results in stagnation, eventually decline. So really embracing a culture of innovation and continuous transformation is important. And if you're too narrowly focused on short-term results, you can miss out on the long-term opportunities. But they're both very, very important. Finding this right balance between the two aspects requires a very intentional and strategic approach.
Yeah, one of the things that a word that comes to mind here is stewardship. And when my time at Kaplan with folks like Don Graham, Andy Rosen, yourself, Andrea Minnelli, just all the characters from my past, that word stewardship really rings very, very loudly through my time. That's what you're talking about here, that balancing act between the short and the long term. And it's not about you, it's about the long-term health and sustainability of the business, and those transformations you're talking about go right in there. Greg, I want to shift gears to your career arc. What's the most important balancing act that you've played as it's contributed to your personal career success?
Yeah, Andy, that balance between customer centricity and employee centricity. I love our mission, what we do, who we do it for, and the team I get to do it with. And I'm very focused on addressing customer needs. I've already mentioned that a couple of times to help our customers achieve their goals and dreams, but equally focused on our employees who day in and day out are working hard to deliver on our customers' goals. I'm constantly reminded that when you hire the best, like we try to do at Kaplan, they have choices. So it's important that as an employer, we're delivering on our employees' goals too. They deserve a rewarding and fulfilling culture. Unfortunately, the work that we do at Kaplan, we're in the changing lives business, and it often helps to create that alignment that I mentioned earlier between customer needs and employees' needs, and that balance. But cultivating a culture that is employee focused and ensuring that our employees embrace our mission is extremely rewarding to me, and something that we work very, very hard on at Kaplan. We we're recognized, and this is now a few years in a row, for being the most loved workplace, one of the most loved workplace by Newsweek magazine, and Sun Sentinel for a number of years now continues to recognize as a great place to work. So these are good reminders on top of our own internal engagement surveys that we do. And then the customer side, through our Net Promoter Score, customer satisfaction, inquiries and research and insights help us ensure that this right balance exists.
Yeah, I used to love standing in front of a crowd of employees and just remind everybody that we get to create Yahoo moments, help create those Yahoo moments in our customers' lives today, and just the uplift that would provide, especially if we're going through a tough time, and that we talked about the short term versus the long term before. Sometimes you're going through a difficult time. That's one of the things that. Not to turn this entire podcast into a Kaplan commercial, but that's kind of what it is. Is that you're creating those Yahoo moments. So thank you for continuing to carry that torch. Now, before we go on commercial break, I think a primer on what Kaplan is up to is important, because we're going to talk about the world of education after the break. Can you give us a short primer on Kaplan North America and its primary value proposition?
Yeah, I could talk about Kaplan all day, but for the I know you're eager to get a commercial break, but Kaplan is the leader in learning and advising services for academic and career advancement. So we provide our students and our corporate and university partners with an edge to advance in an ever-changing world. So what does that mean for our students? Kaplan North America opens the doors for learners, empowering them to achieve their life goals. This includes helping them recognize their path to their dream college, or graduate school, or earning their professional certification for the job they may have always wanted. For employers who we also work with, K&A is there to help them navigate their talent needs, from identifying the right talent, helping them recruit the right talent, or developing and retaining the talent they currently have. And for our university partners, we help them transform their models. As an innovator in education, we are always forward-thinking and helping universities to evolve the needs and expectations of students and the innovative ways they learn. And nobody understands innovation better than Kaplan. And many firsts can be attributed to Kaplan, and universities turn to us to assist in helping bring those best practices to their institution.
Well, thank you for that. Some might get the sense that the Balancing Act podcast is somehow an education show, and it's really not. What I'm trying to do is get more people really focused on learning and skill development within their organizations. And if you think about the world of work, it is continuous improvement. It's always learning. It's always growing. So when we're talking about skills on this show, when I bring educational luminaries like Greg Marino on the show, it's not just to talk about a couple of folks geeking out about education. It's to really elevate the fact that we need more learning built into the flow of work. We need better prepared students for the world of work. And again, huge applause for Kaplan overall for the work that you're doing there. Now, I have a book to sell, so we're going to take a really short commercial break and we'll be right back. I'm Andy Temte. My new book, The Balanced Business, is scheduled for release on October 3rd. This book blends everything I've learned over the last 35 years and details the management operating system I would deploy if I could go back and do it all over again. The Balanced Business is a practical, real-world guide to help businesses achieve long-term success that's built on a culture of trust balanced with accountability. The Balanced Business is available for pre-order on Amazon.com today. And we're back with Greg Marino talking about the balancing acts that chief executives play and the future of education. Greg, during our time at Kaplan, I recall many conversations centered around educational accessibility. What is Kaplan doing to break down traditional barriers to educational access?
Yeah, thanks for that question. And you could really rewind all the way back to the beginning. Kaplan's first CEO, the founder, Stanley Kaplan, who himself faced his own set of personal challenges related to access and college admissions. It was his own experience with the educational system that fueled his drive to start Kaplan. And he aspired to be a doctor. He was a good student, strong academic credentials in high school, but when he applied to medical school, he was rejected. And he believed that part of the reason was due to the prejudice against Jewish students that existed in admissions policy. And admissions standardized tests were emerging as an essential part of the college and graduate school admissions process, and that was unfamiliar to him, and he felt not as prepared to tackle them. So these personal experiences make Stanley Kaplan aware of the barriers that students, particularly those with minority backgrounds, face in the educational system. So instead of him becoming a doctor, he became a teacher and then later started Kaplan in his basement, Brooklyn home. And ever since, Kaplan has been working hard to promote access. And it comes in a number of forms to break down those traditional barriers. Affordable options help open access. And here, I'm proud of a recent innovation, the introduction of the all access license, that we've created this new model to help institutions broaden students' ability to tap into the tools that we have at a dramatically reduced cost. Our all access license provides university-wide access to the entire portfolio of industry-leading test preparation, licensure, and credentialing programs that we have at a flat fee. Annie, you're familiar with the various modalities that we have throughout the organization: online learning, flexible scheduling. We were one of the first education companies to introduce online options, including the first ever online law school, and then helping to create one of the largest online universities for adult learners. We talked about lifelong learning. Education is lifelong, not just something that happens in the early stages of life, We ensure that we're advising students at the various stages of their life and ensuring that their skills remain relevant and allow them to continue to advance, or if necessary, pivot, so that they are successful in their career of choice. Ensuring that also there's a level of awareness created. Certainly, the role that we have as a leader in the organization. We collaborate with local partners, schools, colleges, organizations, to not only understand the specific needs and challenges of their community, but we also provide millions of dollars in assistance to improve access.
Yeah, Kaplan is really at the tip of the spear in this thing that some are calling the reskilling revolution, that we've got to reskill up to 1 billion people over the next 10 years. And access, educational access is going to be a big part of that. Another part is alternative pathways into the world of work. And you and I have had robust conversations around the creation of alternative pathways, things like validated skill portfolios that don't require the attainment of a big monolithic credential like a degree. How is Kaplan helping to rethink the traditional pathway of degree into a job? What are some of the alternatives you're thinking about?
Yeah, we have had a number of conversations on this, Andy, over the years. In fact, one of my favorite was sitting in your conference room in La Crosse, Wisconsin, over cheese curds. And I think that, if I remember correctly, later continued into... was it Schmitty's, where we capped things off with a grasshopper pie?
Close. The Freight House has Freight House has the world's best crab legs, oddly enough, somewhere landlocked in the middle of the country, and their world famous grasshopper pie. So I digress.
I think I finally walked enough steps to work off the cheese curds and the grasshopper pie, but. In between all this, a lot of conversations and a key market disruption that Kaplan is embracing, and you're another one of the authors behind this, Andy, is the recognition that increasingly, instead of going to college to get a job, students will increasingly be going to a job to get a college degree. One of our colleagues, and I think a past guest on your podcast, Brandon Bastide, has coined the phrase, and the products go pro early. So what does this mean today? The number one reason why people go to pursue higher education is to get a good job. And that path has always been assumed as linear. First go to college, then get a good job. But if the path was get a good job first, a job that comes with a college degree in the near future, a substantial number of students, including many of the most talented, will go straight to work for employers that offer a good job along with a college degree and ultimately a path to a great career. But the college degree can be broken down. We've talked a lot about modular, stackable credentials that could be earned along the way, and in the professional setting, in that job setting, as you're acquiring these skills, the recognition is provided. They could all stack to what exists today as the gold standard, a college degree. You see this already, happening in the case of working adults and employers that offer education as a benefit at their workplace. And we also have a relationship with Amazon, where they support. They've got a program called Amazon's Career Choice Upskilling Program, and we're a key partner in that overall effort, and they certainly have embraced this concept that we're talking about as well.
Well, thank you for continuing to make progress in that area, because to colleges and universities in their current form, meaning having the degree as the primary product, there just isn't enough volume to be able to reskill a billion people. So we need these alternative pathways. Now, let's have just a little bit of fun as we start to wind down the show.
right.
Greg Marino, you have access to a time machine and you can send a message to an earlier version of yourself. What would that short message be, and what previous version of yourself do you choose to send it to?
Well, for starters, like you're asking me to do here, take the time to reflect. Earlier, we discussed also the balance of managing for the short term and long term, and there's a personal and business side to that. So in that context, as I think back to my earlier self, probably the message I would send is acknowledge the milestones as you pave the path forward. There's it's about the journey, and there are many accomplishments along the way that are worth celebrating, and there's certainly a lot of learning opportunities as well. So take the time to reflect, take the time to recognize the milestones, certainly the accomplishments, but also some of the learning opportunities that went along the way.
So recognize the milestones. So many of us throughout our careers have just kind of blown right past those and not given ourselves the time and the space to reflect and really enjoy those. So thank you for sharing that. Final question, Greg Marino. What's next for Kaplan in North America? What are you excited about? What keeps you up at night?
So you're really promoting jet lag here, asking me to go back and now go a little bit forward.
Yep.
What am I excited about? I can tell you that I'm very energized by the role of generative AI and its role in transforming the educational experience. I see so many possibilities for leveraging AI to enhance the learning experience, the learning outcomes that are provided to students, and also to provide to improve productivity, to provide even more access where possible. We're ready to release a new product that leverages this very important technology, but in a way that really I don't think anybody else can, or many others certainly can't, because of the breadth and depth of what Kaplan has. So marrying these two components together, I'm pretty excited about the potential. In terms of what keeps me up at night, I come from a family of firefighters, and I too myself was a volunteer firefighter. So I'm not the best sleeper to begin with. I still have one ear to a virtual pager that doesn't exist, thinking it's going to go off and there's some call I need to run to. But when I lay awake at night, I'm often thinking about my interactions of the day. Was I motivating enough? Was I balanced enough with the optimism and reality of a situation? Did I provide the right clarity and feedback? Did I deliver that message in the right way to have the right impact? There's a lot of responsibility that goes with being a leader. There's a large number of people, employees, customers, and their families that are counting on that leadership to ensure that the right decisions are made. And once I say I'm fortunate to be surrounded by so many people to ensure that we're delivering these outstanding outcomes for our employees and students. But when I'm tossing and turning, at night, I'm thinking about the team and ensuring that we're doing all that we can do to have the societal impact that Kaplan is known to have and can continue to have.
Well, Greg, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. It's been an absolute pleasure to reconnect with you, to share some old stories. Thank you for bringing in the firefighter bit. I was a little disappointed at the top of the show that you didn't mention the firefighter background or your family, which is very, very noble. And thank you all, your whole family, for your service there. So we're going to close out the show. Thank you for being here, Greg Marino. My name is Andy Tempty. This is the Balancing Act podcast. You can find us on all the major streaming services. Please like, subscribe, rate, and share the show. We're creating a public good here, and the show was produced by Nicholas Tempty. Thank you, Nick, for all that you do for the show. See you next time.